Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience with the few minutes that we're late this morning. I am Annie Brock, President and CEO of the Leader Transition Institute, and we are here today for Learn, Do, Grow, and Repeat. We're grateful today that Sarah Blewett McNamara is sharing her time with us to talk about what it takes to be interview ready as we go through the job search process. I will let Sarah have the stage and go through her presentation, and then we'll talk about for a few minutes at the end after your questions about what the Leader Transition Institute is and about changing focus moving from we to me. So thank you very much, Sarah, for being with us this morning. Sarah is a military spouse and transition coach with vast experience in the corporate sector. She's from the corporate perspective. She recognizes the tremendous impact that veteran talent can have on the bottom line and the complexities organizations face with sourcing, recruiting, placing, and retaining military talent. And as a military spouse and transition coach, she offers a distinctive viewpoint and deep understanding of the value of veteran talent and the challenges that service members face when navigating their transitions out of the military and into the civilian workforce. And so she focuses on bridging veterans with organizations for mutual success. So thank you, Sarah, for spending time with us this morning. I am really excited about this. And so let us just dive in. You tell me when you want me to put the slides up, and that's what we'll see.
Great. Thank you so much, Annie. I'm so happy to be here. I love this topic. Thanks for the great introduction. And I would just amplify really the point around my personal investment in this work as a former military spouse, and I've been living with this struggle with transition and experienced it on both sides, both from the veteran and the transitioning service member, and then on the employer side with my work as an organization development practitioner. So I'll dive in. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I believe is really, really important, that is purpose and values. And then we'll talk a little bit about being ready for an interview and being ready to go into a career conference. And then we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A. So let's dive in.
Okay, here we go.
This is a little bit more about me. This is the journey that I've been on, that many people ask me, well, how did you get to be where you are? And here's my journey. I will also say on a personal note that I moved around a lot as a kid. And so I say I'm really good at transition. And I also really understood the value of belonging and being connected to a community, because I oftentimes felt like I didn't belong. And that also meant that I wasn't able to contribute my talents, no matter where I was. And so fast forward, makes perfect sense that today I work in this space where I help people transition and get into environments where they can really contribute. So that's me. The very first thing I will say is that being ready for an interview or a career fair or just simply a conversation, the first thing to do is to be ready on an individual level. And that is long before a resume or a LinkedIn profile or really anything. So you really have to know yourself. And coming out of the military, it's a little challenging, I know, because you kind of put yourself aside when you're working in uniform, because everything is about the unit or the team or the people outside of yourself. But this is the number one priority. You have to take ownership and claim agency and really understand and be aware of who you are first. Let's see so self-awareness is really taking a good look in the mirror and thinking, who am I? Who am I going to be? Who do I want to be? What parts of me am I going to take with me from the military, and what parts am I going to leave behind? What served me in the military and what's not going to serve me in the civilian world? And these are questions you really have to know for yourself. Purpose and values is really the best place to start. And I know that in the military, everybody has, each of the branches have unique mission statements and purpose. Generally speaking, it's to serve something greater than yourself. It's to protect and defend. And I'm going to ask you and challenge everybody with us today to really understand what it is for you now that you're out of uniform, and know that your next employer is not going to give you a purpose like the military did. So you really have to have your own. So really, what is the purpose? And there's some general definitions here. It's a cumulative effect of meaningful goals. It's something you really can't grab or hold, but it defines where you're going and gives you a guiding principle on decisions to make. And then lastly, it's really, what's the impact you want to have on the world? So for me, I will say that my purpose is really every day I get out of bed and I do this work in the military space and help people contribute to the best of their ability and what their unique talents really are in the workforce. And so that is my purpose. I do that. It serves me. It helps me. And I'm really super aware. And I've done a lot of work in this. So it's a journey. And so I really encourage everybody to, if you don't have a redefined or discover your purpose, I'm going to help you do that today. And then hopefully you'll be on your own journey too. So let's move on.
And I love that. I love that this is so important to you, Sarah, because that's our whole in changing focus, moving from we to me. We spend a whole day on individual purpose and vision, and so I'm so glad that you're talking about it such in depth today.
It's worth it. It's worth the whole day. It's worth as long as it takes. Really, it's so important. This is one of my Susan David. If you don't know her, she's an author and she's got a great TED Talk, but many TED Talks. But I love this quote. That your core values provide the compass that keeps you moving in the right direction. So in the military, you have your purpose and values, and you know what you're doing, you know the mission, and like you just get it done. In terms of self-awareness, it's similar. You've really got to have your purpose and have a direction on where you're going to go. So keep that compass, image, and really put it, in the mirror with you and say, like, where are we going here? Because if you don't go where you're going to go where somebody else wants you to go, and that's not going to help you. Personal values. This is kind of lofty. I think I imagine anyway from people coming out of the military. It's like, well, my values are what my branch, tells me they are. But now you have to own them and figure it out. So what are they? They're freely chosen. Values are freely chosen. They're ongoing. They're not fixed. So that's important to know. They guide you. They kind of like inform decision making. They're moving. They really help you accept who you are. And that's another real big priority when you're going out and getting a job or getting a second career started. They bring you freedom from social comparison. I know there is a lot of comparing going on between somebody coming out of the uniform who's like 30 years old and somebody who else has never served who's also 30. I know it. There's comparison probably within your active duty life and community, but I know that you compare yourself to people who have not served, and you might think, well, they're in a different place in their career than I am. I might be behind, and I'm here to tell you, you're not behind, and you're not ahead because there's no competition. You are your unique self, so you cannot compare yourself to other people. Please hear me when I say that. You made a decision to serve your country. They did not make that decision. And, you're both 30 years old. Cool. But remember, your purpose and your values are your unique identifiers or differentiators. So that's why they are so important. And they also bring you to your preferred lifestyle. So if you know where you're going, you will get out of bed and you will make decisions that lead you in that direction, and you will end up with the lifestyle that you want. kind of preachy on values, purpose, and values. So I'm sorry if that's how it's
It's,
coming
it,
off. But
it,
again,
I think it's really important.
it's so
It's a
important.
topic I think that we can't talk enough about, and I love the fact that you encourage people to get away from comparing themselves with others who've taken a different path, because we all do that. You know, we do that as 40 and 50-year-olds too, compare
Totally.
ourselves, and it is deadly.
It's deadly. It's you will be stalled and you will kill whatever self-confidence you might have, which I know, being a job searcher and a career transition person, confidence is uh, uh, but coming out of the military, going into a completely new culture where you don't have your peer group or your community around you, and you think nobody understands your background, which I admit there are some struggles there. But so you have to maintain the confidence that you have. Don't let any of it go. And when you compare yourself to others, you're letting some of your confidence go. Okay, personal advice. How do you figure it out? Again, this is Susan David. Love her. These are the questions that you can answer deep down. What matters to me? What matters to me? What relationships do I want to build? What do I want my life to be about? And I love number 4. What activities do I feel the most alive? And I mean, I can tell you, I love what I'm doing this minute. And I would even love it more if we were live, if we were together in a classroom or any room. Um, that's when I'm really alive. And I know that, when I'm cooking, I love to cook, or when I'm spending time with my kids. But I mean, this is a reflection of my purpose and my values, is when I feel the most alive. So it's really informative. And I encourage everybody to think about that. When do you feel the most alive? And even, when you're in active, if you are in active duty, or sorry, when you are working, maybe people still are in uniform. What are you doing when you feel the most alive? Are you leading people? Are you mentoring somebody? Are you, when you accomplish a goal, you might feel like, okay, yay, I'm alive. That was amazing. It was hard and I did it. Yay. So maybe goal accomplishment is, part of what makes you feel most alive. So think about it and really come up with some answers. Um, yeah. What new things would I pursue? I'm sure this applies to everybody. If I wasn't stressed out about transition or figuring out civilian organization culture, what would you pursue? If you took away all the fear and uncertainty, where would you go? So this is hopefully helping you with the values. Let's keep moving. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but I will send out. Let's see, what's the next? If you want to move forward, let's see what I'm going to talk about. I do have a worksheet I'm happy to email out, Annie, to your group on how to identify values.
Okay, that's great. That's part of our
You
purpose
already
day.
have it? Awesome.
And so,
Awesome.
but
Well,
you
then,
know, another reference is sometimes helpful, because one of the reasons why we have people come on who are complementary to what we're doing is that sometimes we hear the same thing better in a different voice with different words.
yeah, great. Well, I'm so happy, and your curriculum and what you do is amazing and highly valuable. So let's see. Here's something else I really want everybody to hear what I say and own it. Your life experiences are cumulative. Okay, so you are a collection of experiences from throughout all of the chapters in your life, not just the military. So, what did you do before the military? What did you do in high school? Where did you feel the most alive when you were in high school or college? Your military experience. Sure, you've gained some unique experiences and skills in the military. And then what about after the military, or what about in school? And then into the workforce. So it's cumulative. And so when you're talking to a future employer, you want to maybe talk about what you did in high school, um, or a job outside of the military, and then you want to talk about, just paint a picture of you as a whole person, before, during, and after your military service.
I think that's really critical because one of the things that it does with an employer is it shows we have depth, that we didn't just do something one time, that
Yeah,
we've done it, again and again through our lives.
right. And I love that. And I always ask, why did you join the military? And I really hope everybody has an answer ready for that. Um, and that's going to be personal. I told you mine. I do the work I do because I was always alone. I always in the new kid. Hated being the new kid. Felt really alone, and so now I work with people like military, service members coming out, or really anybody who might feel alone. Um, and so you have your reason for joining the service. Get really
And I have,
clear.
and I want to just tack on to that there's no wrong reason for joining the military. Some people think that, that they don't have a good enough reason for joining the military. I'll say that there's no wrong reason for joining the military. If it was just simply to get a paycheck, that's why you joined the military. And what you can, and there's nothing, there's no shame in that. And then you might tack on to that why you stayed in the military.
Absolutely. I love the why you stayed. Yes, yes. I love that question. Why? I wish I could do a whole workshop on just helping people get to their why did you join the military? Because it's tied back to your life somehow. Your family, your financial situation, your quest for a super massive challenge, or whatever it is, there's a reason, and it's important that you get to it. This I bring out because I know that it's hard to look at yourself and think about all the good stuff, because in the military you don't get, that's kind of a bad idea, right? When you self promote, aren't I amazing? I know that that's a bad idea. So it's really important that you do accept who you are and all of the skills and attributes you have that you honed during your military service and before. So I could spend a whole day on all of these too. I always like to call out global perspective. Please bring that into your conversations with employers. Everybody wants to hear about how they can bridge cultures. And I know if you served in the military, you are skilled in that. Um, and you're inclusive too, because you don't serve a certain pocket of the population. You serve everyone, everyone. Um, Annie, what jumped out for you on this list?
I think one of the things that's really important to people is that they have a winning mindset, that they are coachable, and that they have a winning mindset. Because I think it's critical for employers to know. It goes along with the being goal driven, that you want to get them where they want to go.
Yes, and bring that up in your interviews and your conversations and your networking. I am a winner. Like, I really practice saying that. I am a goal. I'm a results driven professional. You want an example? Okay. Well, I finished boot camp, right? I mean, I got through boot camp. I knew I was going to serve 4 years, and I knew I was going to reach a certain level within 4 years. Well, I did. So focus on that and have stories about that.
Right. It goes along with being persistent. And you want to
Yeah,
have a story that shows people that you will persist through challenges.
exactly. Exactly. And everybody has a story too of overcoming some hardship. Maybe you broke your leg 6 months before you were supposed to go to boot camp, and you figured out how to heal quickly and did rehab it because you wanted to hit your goal. Whatever it is, it's a good story. You got to tell people it. Tell people your story because it makes you human and relatable. And that is what you want them. That's what you want. You want the person you're speaking to see you and understand and really get what you're saying.
Yep.
And then you are memorable, and then you've kind of triggered some kind of emotional connection within them, and then they're like, oh yeah, gosh, did he tell you that story about how he got himself put back together and got to boot camp? Like, people remember real stories. So again, I mean, I love this slide. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Eddie, I think that people should take this slide and any of these categories, you should have a story prepared to tell in an interview. Every single one of these
Every
categories.
single one of them. Yes. Okay, here's something else. I love this. Many you may have heard the Stockdale paradox. Any of you are familiar with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people say, why should I hire you, or what makes you different than the service member or veteran sitting next to you? That's a tricky question, and I can help you with that too. But here's what I want you to say that makes you different than most civilians. That you have this ability to, now I'm generalizing, I can't say every single veteran has this, but if you do, you'll know it. When you're in this difficult situation, when everything is going exactly opposite of the plan, you don't give up, but and you also know that you will survive. So it's this dual mindset of, yes, this is a difficult situation. You're not sugarcoating anything. Yep, we don't have any supplies, and we're supposed to figure this out in the next hour, and I don't know how we're going to do it. And you know you can do it. So they coexist. And I guarantee you, there are fewer people without military service. How do I say this? It's unusual for people without military experience to have this what this Stockdale paradox, to have this ability to see the picture. The sky is falling, yes, and I know we are going to get through it and survive.
I'm going to put up a comment from Brandon Alford, one of the guys who's watching us, and I love it. It is about mastering the chaos. Brandon's spot on.
Love it. Yes. So everybody write that down. I mean, take a note for when you when you start getting ready for your interview or conversations. Say it. I am the master. I am Brandon Alford, and I am a master of chaos. That's interesting. Oh, really? Really, Brandon? How? Why? Tell me about the last, chaotic situation that you mastered. Then the conversation is off and running. Love it. Thanks for that comment. How are we doing on time, Annie?
We're good. We're at almost half an hour.
Okay. Ownership. I talked a little bit about this. This is also really important. And so when you interview, you will be asked, give me an example of a time when you had a difficult customer or client or coworker. How did you overcome it? What did you do? And then what happened? What are the results? So, and you're going to say, well, we this and we that, and my supervisor or the command, or what, you'll say anything except for the word I. So you have to write that down too. I. Just start it with I. I organized the team. I did outreach within the community. I made sure I went around and interviewed and like had one-on-one sessions with each team member to make sure that they had what they needed to accomplish their job. I gave everybody the bigger picture so that they knew what we were going for. I informed, etc. I did a whole bunch of stuff, and as a result, I was able to accomplish the goal. I'm not being very specific, but I hope I'm getting my point across. Just please don't say we.
Right. I think that's the most important thing. This is the way that you tell your story about everything, but you learn to tell it without the we. You have to tell it with the I.
You do. And this is the most important one on this slide. What would have happened if you were not there? That's how you figure out your unique contribution. Something would have happened. The ship would have sank or something. but you did something. And that's what your interviewer or future employer wants to hear, because they say, oh, well, she prevented the ship from sinking. I can see how she could prevent, um, this other safety hazard from happening within my manufacturing department.
Yep.
Because the ship sinking and this other thing happening they translate, and you
Yep.
want your future employer to picture your value in their employ in the company.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a couple slides that I put together. I did some work with Amazon, and it was really important to help the uh, the recruiters, really, and the people attending the career conference get ready for the career conference. So it's not a job interview, but it is a tricky situation that you really want to be prepared for. So I added it in here.
I think it's a really important list of questions for anybody to look at before they go to a job fair. Wherever it says SAC DC, just put in the job fair that you're preparing for,
Right.
because these are the exact same questions that you need to review for yourself.
Yeah. Again, if you go to a career fair and you're not prepared, you're going to walk in, and your confidence is going to suffer. You're going to not maximize the opportunity, and you're not going to walk out confident and tall and happy with what you did. So this is what you need to do ahead of time. So why did you decide to serve? Why the Marines, not the Air Force? What are you really proud about in your service? So get out your fit reps or get out whatever you have, and pull out a couple things. Like, you got some kind of award. Well, what did you do? What are you the most proud of? What are you trying to get out of the career conference? Or, well, you're just, somebody told you to go, so you're doing it. I hope that's not the answer. What is it that you want to accomplish? You want to meet 5 people? You want to practice your introduction? You want to discover a job or a company that you have never heard of? So you're kind of on a discovery. Like, have some goals. Be sure to get on LinkedIn a horse ahead of time. Figure out who's going to be at the career conference and do some research ahead of time. If you find out you're going for a reason to see a company or more than one, go and get some open jobs from that company so that you can talk to the recruiters and walk up and say, hey, I'm Sarah McNamara. I saw this role, as a I don't know, any researcher. And I would love to talk to you about it and share, some of my background as well. You will have that person's attention for sure. What you don't want to do is walk up to a booth, an employer, and say, hi, what opportunities are available?
And that is so true. And almost every job fair that is held, whether it's online or in person, the organization hosting it will tell you what companies are going to be there. So there is no reason why you can't have this information. And if it turns out that a company is there that you weren't expecting to see, before you go up to the booth, stand to the side with your phone and get the answers to these questions. It won't take you very long.
100%. Dude, this is so important. And that will impress the recruiter at the job fair. And again, you will be memorable, and your resume or whatever you leave with that person will be put off to the side, like in the stack of follow-ups. I promise you. And I can also tell you that the majority of resumes, I hate to even say this, many resumes are rejected at the job fair. They just are. So that's why you have to be memorable and have a connection with the person you're talking to. So they put a little star on your resume for a follow-up. Because if not, and your resume isn't specific about a job, or it's doesn't have any kind of, if your resume alone may not get you onto the next level.
That's exactly right. It's because it's your resume and that's
And,
going to do that. And
and
what you have on this slide here, the personal introduction, that sets the tone for that whole
yes,
conversation.
yes, yes. Here, take a screenshot. This is, I can email this as well, but please fill out this script, please. And you're not going to read it, you're not going to memorize it, but it's going to be on your mind when you walk up to somebody and you say, "Hi, I'm Sarah McNamara. I grew up in California. Right now, I live in San Clemente. My most recent professional experience is with the United States Marine Corps, where I served for 20 years as a so and so." Um, I can't even think of words right now. But throughout my career, I honed the skills in, people management, chaos, right? Mastering chaos, and maybe something else. And really, what I enjoyed the most was mentoring the young recruits. Um, One of the accomplishments that I'm the proudest of is talk about it. Um, and in my second career, I'm excited to leverage this experience and contribute to winning organizations as a fill in the blank or fill in the blank. Have to. And I'm available to start, have a start date.
Now,
Um,
I will tell you, Sarah, this is one thing where you and I disagree
okay,
because you said they should only think about it in their mind. I will tell you, everybody should take this and they should write it down, and you keep working on it, you wordsmith it, and you create some introduction for yourself using this, and then you read it out loud because how we write doesn't always sound
no,
good when we speak it.
that's
And so don't just have it in your mind. I have seen too many people say, nope, I don't need to do it. I can just get up and wing it. And then in comparison to the other people who have practiced, they look like the fool. So make sure that you have taken the time to create this as a version of an elevator speech and create that elevator speech, practice it, but don't just have it in your head. You've got to write it down and then put it in your head.
Thank you. And I love that point. It is so true. It's so true. You have to hear yourself say it. You have to say the words and hear yourself, and that solidifies it in your head. And the other thing, this will change, and you'll say some of these throughout a conversation. It doesn't all just come
Right.
out at once. You just don't want to, because you're going to lose somebody. You're going to lose them in 10 seconds. So
Exactly. You have this in two parts. Take these
yeah,
questions and put it into two parts because you want to be able to introduce yourself, give them the basics, and then when they say, "What are you looking for?" then you have the second part of the answer right at the tip of your tongue to give them.
love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay.
So, Sarah, this selection process, this is what happens in an interview, doesn't it?
Yep.
In the job search process.
Yep. Yes. So exactly. So you'll prepare for the STAR. The STAR is the interview format. It's behavioral based. And behavioral based means what did you do in a certain situation. So when you hear that, that's what it is. So give me an example of a time when. STAR is an acronym. It stands for situation. What was the target? What did you do for action? And then what were the results? So that's STAR. Your resume will be, you'll get through a resume screen. Then you may be contacted for an assessment. I know Amazon does assessments during their early selection. You have a phone screen with a recruiter person. Again, you have to translate and be human and tell stories and be memorable. On this phone screen, you'll be invited. After that, you'll be invited to an on-site interview. It takes about 90 days, so don't think you don't get the job if they don't call you the next day, or it's a takes time. Don't give up. Reach out for helpful hints, user resources. There's a dashboard for the Amazon that may or may not apply for everything. And then Candorful. I love this Candorful. So they'll help you do interview coaching. So this is just a kind of a timeline and a couple ideas on resources.
Awesome. So these Amazon leadership principles, I know they're Amazon's leadership principles, but they apply pretty much across every organization in some way, shape, or form, don't they?
They do. And I included them because if you're interviewing for Amazon, great. If you're not, that's fine too. Um, and the military leadership principles are, I think Amazon developed this after the military, honestly. So these are the Amazon leadership principles. So if you're in an interview there, you're going to look at number 10 and you're going to see frugality. Okay, well, what's an example of something I did or that demonstrates how I'm frugal and efficient with money or resources in the military that I can talk about? Because if you have to know these principles if you want to work at Amazon. You just do. All of them. They live by this. Um, and so think about what you've done in the military or prior that relates to when did I think big, um, any of them. How did I deliver results? So you have to have stories that align with these principles. And if you're interviewing with any company, go to their website, find out what really they talk about, what's important to them, and have your stories ready.
I always tell people that companies hire you because you can save them money, which is the frugality, because you can save them time, that's up there, because you can take care of people, because you can fix processes and develop processes. All of those are into the among these leadership principles, and they cut across the average company that anyone is going to apply to.
Yeah, everything comes back to money. That's another thing. It's a mindset you have to shift out of the military. Everything is driven to money.
Yep.
People, productivity, sale, everything. It's expensive when people quit and they know it. So if you can help them keep their people, that will save them money. So here's an outline of what I just talked about. So customer obsession, what is it? What is that? What does that mean to Amazon? This is a worksheet. You would,
So this is what you suggest that they do with each one of those principles to understand what that principle means and how to apply it in the civilian sector across the board.
Yep. And then, and the column here, example of a time when you demonstrated when you were in service, in uniform. And then what were the outcomes? You must have outcomes. So
I love this. It's such a good, if people will do this work, they will be so primed for a job interview. If you go across, regardless of where you're going to interview, if you go across those principles and do this work, you will be primed for an interview at any company.
Yeah, and the other thing too, you can have your workbook, your worksheet, and a little notepad, and you take it with you.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I always tell people that exact same thing. You don't have to have numbers memorized. If you've gotten big results, you can't memorize all those numbers. So I'm so glad to hear that you agree with me that they can pull up in their notes, some on their phone, some examples of what they've done.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't pull it up on my phone. Well, whatever works. But you have that right, really. You're interviewing the company and they're interviewing you. It is a relationship that you're building. And so if you walk in with a notepad or your phone or whatever, and they will explain to you what's happening, what you can expect, we'll do this, and I'll ask you for specifics, and you'll be like, okay, cool, I'm prepared for that. And then they'll ask you your first question, and you'll say, okay, is it okay if I just take a minute and make a note and kind of get ready, make sure? And they'll be like, of course.
So would you advise they have it on a separate piece of paper too, in addition to on their phone? Okay, great.
I do. And when I do this kind of coaching, I actually take out a piece of paper and I draw it like STAR across the top. And then I hear the mock interviews. So I'm listening for answers and I actually fill in the columns. And so I'm like, okay, well, that worked out, except for I don't know what you did. I know what happened at the end, but I don't know what you did, like the empty column. and it helps you, it helps me help the person I'm coaching deliver a complete answer.
And that's something that people can do for themselves, can't they?
Yeah.
They could use their phone to record an answer and then sit there with the worksheet just the same way you would do it, and see if they can fill out every single one of those columns.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so these recruiter tips.
Top 10. This again came out of the work with Amazon. So if it works for Amazon, it's pretty much going to work for everybody. Number 10, you got this. Love it. Yeah, we talked about the number one, proofread all written communications. Listen, if you served in the military, you probably weren't doing a whole lot of reading and writing, unless you were in school. But spelling matters and grammar matters. And so get Grammarly, the app, it's free. Double check everything. Align your resume with the job requirements. You have to do that because keyword searches, and it's tricky. A lot of companies just shoot resumes through basically a computer. And if your resume doesn't include the words that align with the job summary or requirements, it'll be rejected. You don't want that. Say I statements, not we. That should probably be number one. Be proactive. When you talk to people, ask them for a business card or a LinkedIn connection. Like I've been in so many situations where service members or military connected job seekers, they don't ask me for a LinkedIn, and I can help them. And I don't want, and so you have to ask for it. Be bold. I know it goes against your nature coming out of the military, but ask for it. It's coming out of your comfort zone. Be really clear with your recruiter about, are you going to relocate or you're not? Be honest. And asking for help is expected. So do it.
I love it. Great questions. Great tips. Okay, we are going to go into our Q&A here. So I've already wrote it in the chat. What questions do you have for Sarah? She covered a whole lot. I know somebody asked about, was it being recorded so they can look at it later? And so some people may just be counting on going back and looking at this again later. Sarah, this was full of so much valuable material. Thank you.
Well, and I say I know because it is a lot, and I talk fast, and but it's a lot of. It's worth the time to really do this work. So I hope I've convinced people to invest the time.
I hope so too. I hope people have listened. If they don't get anything else out of your talk with us today, is to invest the time. I can never remember who said this. I need to look up and imprint it on my brain. But there was a famous, a well-known military commander years ago who said that a plan wasn't worth anything, but the planning process was worth everything. And that's exactly what you're talking about with when people sit down and do this work, they will be prepared for whatever happens in an interview.
100%. And I couldn't agree even more. You will walk in with all this background and this work that you've done for yourself, and you will stand taller, I promise you. You'll walk into the interview, you'll walk into the career fair, and you will I own this room. And that there's nothing better. So please do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There aren't any questions that are showing up in the chat. So what I'm going to say is that we will check this periodically. I will be going back and checking this periodically to see what questions show up. And you can also tag Sarah, connect with her on LinkedIn, and you can tag her if you have questions, but write them in, and my team and I will check periodically to see if there are questions, and we'll make sure that Sarah gets them. So thank you so much for spending this time with you today. I want to just close close out by us just because we're bumping near 1 o'clock. And so thanks for hanging out with us for so long. Just want to go over for just a couple of minutes about what the Leader Transition Institute is and changing focus, moving from we to me. We are a 501c3 organization headquartered in Maryland, but our team is global across the United States. Our primary program is changing focus, moving from we to me. We provide this as a gift to service members, veterans, military spouses, regardless of where you are in the world and regardless of when you have left active duty or when you are leaving active duty. We hope that when you're 2 years out from leaving active duty that you'll come through the program, but regardless of when you've left, you're still eligible. It's free. We supplement the DoD TAP program, talking about change, purpose and vision, communication, the dollars and cents of transition, what it takes to live a purposeful, intentional life. Along the way, we paint and play with Legos. We're virtual, so you can do it in your jammies, regardless of where you are and regardless of your time zone. So that's what it is. I'm going to put up the registration link here. You go to this bit.ly link, capital C, capital F, -registration, and all the information will be there for our fall cohorts. So please take advantage of this program. We fund it for free. We provide it for you for free. We fund it by doing corporate and government communications and leadership training so that then the corporate sector and the government sector will be as great a leaders as all of you are coming out of the military community. So thanks for being here so long with us today. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being here with us. And make sure that you put your questions in the chat, and Sarah will make sure that you get them answered. Thanks, and see you again next month.
Bye, everybody.